things so practically human and so simple, yet humanity creates love to be an incredibly complex device. Humanity creates love to be something that can be explained. Humanity creates love to be something translatable into a technology, and it cannot be. And with all of that being stated, the simplest way to understand divine love is to understand that it cannot be and shall never be translated through the device of the logical human mind. It can only be translated, applied, and understood through the brain of the heart. So, with that introduction from Mary, I will explain what she means by the brain of the heart. I'm sure for those of you who follow along with the concept of heart math, you will remember whoever came out with that was just following up on what science came up with. And I was reminded of this, because I have an app that checks my heart rate after I meditate and checks it when I wake up and checks it during exercise and after exercise and all this sort of stuff. And the app reminded me that science found an extra heart with its own neurons and pathways, and an extra brain rather, with its own neurons and pathways inside of the human heart many, many years ago. And then someone created modalities to work with that brain, those neural pathways inside of the human heart. And that is exactly what we try to do. We try to compartmentalize and create complexity out of love. And this is why Mary wanted us to work with the example of heart math today as one of the primary examples of how people tend to create a modality out of everything. We want to create a logical, scientific modality, a factual, complex pathway towards everything, including that which is more philosophical, including that which cannot even be philosophized. That which is divine love cannot even be philosophized by the greatest human philosophers. So she wanted to talk about love in application with the 7 graces, because the graces are things that are natural, simple, human, and divine essences. They are divine gifts that can be practically applied in your human life to help you reach the concept of divine love. To help you not only reach the concept of divine love, but to practically utilize it and then become aware of it, both in your mind awareness, your body awareness, and your applicable soul awareness. Okay? So, wisdom. Remember, the grace of wisdom. This is what she writes down about it. Wisdom is the choice that recognizes pain and suffering as a part of the human choice of experience in life. It is always inevitable that when we choose to be born, when we choose the cycle of birth, life, death, that we will cause each other to suffer in some way, and that we will also experience suffering in some way. Wisdom. To be loved in the grace of wisdom is to recognize yourself in everyone. Now we'll stop there with what she said about that. This is why the mantra on the back of my neck says, hum me hum. I am another you. Yeah. Because it is my gentle reminder that no matter what I see out there in the world, whether I like it or not, accept it or not, it is another me. The circumstance, the person. That was something that Mary Magdalene profoundly exemplified. That was her deepest expression. So, in order to seek wisdom, it's wise to recognize yourself in every person, every event, every circumstance. And when you can do that, then you can seek a wise, loving response to all of those people and to all of those circumstances. In every event, every circumstance, every happening, every occurrence in your life, no matter what, zero exceptions, right? Some super loud noise. This is always so challenging. Like, I moved to this Midwestern town, supposedly in the middle of nowhere, and now there's this noise, and I'm like, I want to know what it is, but I'm teaching a class, and I'm like, am I going to know what it is? I'd have to like seriously get up and, or maybe whatever the noise is will come my way and I will find out. But right now it's so distracting. I know it's not the trash guy because that was yesterday. So inquiry and love in action. Mary's powerful way of practicing divine love with the graces was to use inquiry. If she wanted that directive, if she wanted to, maybe it is the Finns man. I really hope so, because it's been sitting there undone for like 2 months and it is driving me mad. I don't like undone things. Things like waiting for completion, it like drives me nuts. Okay. So when you're seeking to explore wisdom and that particular type of divine love and the wisdom of divine love, and you want to explore the nature of wisdom in divine love, it's important to understand what, and this is how you know what grace you need, what specific type of divine love you need, and what grace you need to explore is that you can't accept suffering, either that you've caused it or someone else has caused it or it's out there in the world somewhere. When you can't accept that suffering is a part of the plan, that's when you know that you need the grace of wisdom powerfully. Okay? So Mary would invoke the grace of wisdom. She used invocation and ritual powerfully and practically. But what she did more often than praying is she would ask. Inquiry was her prayer. So she had several inquiries that she utilized when she wanted to explore wisdom. And she made sure that she utilized inquiry during prayer in the face of her pain. When she was suffering or when she suffered while noticing someone suffer, when she saw suffering in the world and it caused her to suffer, and she felt unloving emotions for whatever that would be, grief, pain, anger, shame, she would ask a question. Okay, so here are the questions. Write them down if you are a note taker. What mystical wisdom is in this for me? Did you write that down? What mystical wisdom is in this for me? What is the wise way to respond? Sometimes people, like, she would wait on asking that question and she would sit with the first question for a few moments. because sometimes we just have to process. People want to immediately have a wise response, but sometimes we just don't. So when you don't, ask the first inquiry and sit with that, and don't push yourself into an answer. That's unloving. And if you want to understand the nature of divine love, you cannot continue to be unloving to yourself. So in the second inquiry, what is the wise way to respond? We want to sit with that for a while, because sometimes the wise way to respond is not to respond. One of the deeper things that Mary noticed a lot in her life is that people demanded a response from her all the time. Mary, what say you? Mary, what say you? And they did that with Jesus as well. When something was going wrong, they would say, how could God let this happen? As if God controlled the evil in our world. And that was often her response. They were getting angry, getting mad with God, getting mad at Jesus because they felt that Jesus was God's representative. And if he wouldn't respond, they would look at her. Well, what say you then? Right? And she would say, what makes you think that God created this evil, or allowed it, or condoned it, or had anything to do with it? Right? What makes you think that? And most of the time people wouldn't have an answer. Right? But you notice how we immediately go there. We need someone to blame. But in the true nature of divine love, what if there isn't anyone? What then? If we want to understand divine love, we understand wisdom. And a wise person knows that blame is not helpful, true, healthy, or even necessary. Okay? Other questions to understand the divine nature of love in wisdom. What transformation is happening, and how is it necessary? Another one, what changes in me am I fighting? If I am in pain, here's another one, what am I taking personally that has nothing to do with me? And finally, am I blaming someone for something that would have happened anyway? These are all the questions to get you closer to the true nature of divine love when it applies to the grace of wisdom. Do we have any questions about wisdom as it applies to divine love? Any questions? It's truly that simple. We like to make it complex by adding our own perplexities, she says. We like to make things complicated. Repeat the last one. Am I blaming something for someone? Am I blaming someone for something that would have happened anyway? Yeah. Most of the time we are, and we don't even know that we are. That's conditioned. That's deeply conditioned. Our legal systems, as old as time is itself, we've had tribal legal systems. We've had justice systems. We've had all these systems that put us in a position to want to create someone that has to be at fault, or something that has to be at fault. But this brings about a concept of the middle way. Mm-hmm. Any questions about wisdom as it applies to divine love? If not, we're moving on to knowledge.